So if you're taking a look at your rudder stocks and you have found that your plastic screw is seized up, I'm going to use this Hobie Tiger rudder stock because it's just a little bit easier to see what's going on. So the tools that we're going to use for this job: the big screwdriver, the special tool, the small hammer, and if he doesn't work, the big hammer, the blowtorch. You might have to improvise because I know not everybody's got a blowtorch, the adjustable spanner, and then when it starts getting real, the big drill bit, the chisel, the tap, the bit of a socket set and spanner just to work the tap, and then the all important grease. We're going to want to take the cam out because by taking the cam out, that's going to take a bit of the pressure off the screw, meaning if it is borderline whether it's going to come out, it's more likely to come out. So to get it out, I'm using the trusty special tool screwdriver with the end cut off and quite a delicate hammer. You could use a less delicate hammer, but a lot of pressure on that. So when I take the screwdriver out, I'm just going to put my hand over the end because otherwise it's going to kind of explode a little bit. And oh, yes. All right, so there we go. There's the cam. If the plunger won't come out, then we'll just put a screwdriver into the spring, just levering it out if it doesn't want to come. There we go. Now do stay tuned to the end because we're going to be looking at how we're going to put it all back together again afterwards, and I think that is quite important. Okay, so we're starting off. We're going to need a fairly juicy big size screwdriver. We're going to put that in. We're going to give it a turn. So giving it, oh, I've actually got a result there from applying a lot of downward force and turning it. We can see that that one is coming out. Okay, here's rudder stock number 2. Gonna try the same thing, downward force, but this screw has lost its shape at the top. So next line of attack here is gonna be, so this is going to melt into the screw so it gets a better bite on the screw. Obviously being careful not to touch the end. Now, yeah, I can feel that melting in to the screw there, pushing it in a bit so that it goes in fairly deep. All right, and then I'm going to take an adjustable spanner onto the blade of the screwdriver so we get a bit more purchase turning it. Oh, you're joking. And this one has worked. All right, so that's 2 out of 2. Okay, this one I know doesn't go, so I'm gonna have to drill this one out. This is actually the same drill bit that we would use if we were going to drill the rudder stock out to put bushes in. So as we drill the rudder stock, obviously we want to be careful not to hit the metal. We've gone all the way through the screw. That is completely drilled out. That was pretty quick actually. So we've got quite a narrow chisel, and then I'm just going to start chipping using the delicate hammer. Again, we want to be careful here not to bite in to the metal, just chipping away, and as you can imagine, this can take a little while. Okay, so that is now all the way out. that didn't actually take quite so long. So we're going to recut the thread using this large tap. Now do be aware, if you have got a slightly older boat, you will need a different size tap for recutting that thread. Now what I've actually found to be easiest to do this is to use this extension piece from a socket set, which is the right size to locate on there, and then I can actually just take a spanner onto the top, and I'm just going like 3 turns in, 1 turn out. This could all be avoided if you regularly loosen your screw and re-lubricate it. Okay, so before we put it all back together, one thing that you should look at is take your plunger and just put it inside the channel where that's going to go, and just check that it can move freely in there. If it can't move freely or at all, then what you need to do is take some sandpaper or a file and just file the edges to kind of square off 2 opposing sides, so that then that won't jam in the channel. On here, obviously, we could just take it and put it in, but we're not going to do that. So if it was a 16, we wouldn't be able to use the vise, because we'd actually want to be holding it flat. Takes a steady hand, and then we'll insert it like that. And then to put the screw in, what we're going to do is hold the screw on the end of the screwdriver like this, and then we're just looking to get that first turn. Do make sure that this part is very well greased. That's going to stop you from having to do this again too soon. And then we're just going to get a couple of turns on there. Okay, so when you're servicing your stocks, it is worth, before you put it back together, just check your cam. Even if it looks pretty good on the outside, you want to check the hole, because if the hole has become elongated and it can wobble on the pin, then it's time to replace the cam. We don't want that wobble. We're going to put it in the inverted position like this, locating it onto the plunger. We're then going to push the plunger in until we can see that hole line up, and then we're going to use our special tool to go all the way through. All right, so putting the pin in, the first bit is quite easy. Now when we get there, you might have to just grab the screwdriver with the other hand. Okay, you can then really feel the satisfaction when you pop the cam into the correct position, twist and flick like that. And then what I would say is a good starting point for the screw is to have it just a little bit, so there's just a few threads exposed from the end. That's a good starting point. Then go and put it on your boat and see how it is. Check the pressure in the blade. Very good. Thanks very much. If you want more on servicing your rudders, obviously look at this one. Otherwise, I'll be back soon with some more on Joyrider TV.